Good morning, 7th grade. This week our lessons are going to focus on evolution, and today we're just going to focus on understanding important vocabulary. So after you watch this video lesson, you need to go back to the blog and take a Google Forms quiz on this presentation. Okay, so the first two words we're going to talk about are variation and population. So variation refers to genetic differences within a group of organisms that are the same species. Population refers to a group of organisms that are the same species. So this is a population of land snails. They're all the same species. They could mate and make more baby land snails. These are all sunflowers. They could hybridize and make more sunflowers. This is a population of sunflowers. This is a population of land snails. And the variation refers to the different genes that these different organisms have. So while these are all the same species and they all have the same number of chromosomes, you can see very clearly that they have different genes for shell color. These sunflowers have all the same chromosomes, but they have different alleles on their genes for petal color. So an adaptation is a trait that gives an organism an advantage in its environment. So if we look at these mice right here, these mice are the same species. They have the same genes, but their alleles are different. So this mouse is a mouse that lives on the prairie, and it has alleles for brown fur. This mouse is a city mouse, and it has alleles for gray fur. So this mouse is better adapted to the prairie because there are more brown colors and it can hide better. This one's better adapted to the city because there are darker colors and it can hide better. This, if you remember that episode of Life where we looked at plants, we know that milkweed is a plant that if it's bitten into by an insect, it secretes this sticky sap that can kill the insect. And that is an adaptation that allows the milkweed plant to grow big and survive so that it can make seeds and reproduce. And if we go back to our land snail example, some of these snails are better adapted because of their shell color to hide from predators. So natural selection is related to adaptations. Genetic variation within a species leads to some of the organisms within that species to survive and reproduce. So if we look specifically at this land snail example, these darker colored land snails are more likely to hide from this hungry raccoon. And so the hungry raccoon is more likely to eat these bright colored land snails. Now, if we take these bright colored land snails out of that population, then we only have these dark colored land snails left over, and they'll mate with each other and reproduce. And their land snail babies, as we know from everything we learned in genetics, will be very likely to be dark shelled. This is another good example of natural selection. We have two finches, but they live on different islands. So if the plants on those islands are different, we see in finches, their beaks tend to look different because they become better adapted to those plants specifically. So on this island, we have plants that have larger nuts that need big beaks for crushing in order to be eaten. And on this island, we have a lot of plants that have flowers that they need to be able to reach into to get the nectar. So those are the vocabulary words I want you guys to really think about and understand. And if you have any questions about the Google Forms quiz, email me or text me today so we can figure it out.